Welcome to Hard Talk, the podcast that comes to you every Monday, 10 p.m. from Hard Knocks Training Center, Malaysia. I'm your host, Sam, and we are joined today by KH. Hi, KH.
Hi, good to see you again.
You too. You too. And for you guys, leave your comments, leave your questions, leave your thoughts in the comment section for KH later. So, KH.
Yes.
I'm curious about the samurai game. I recently just went through a really condensed version, like 1.5 days, right? But it was a very mysterious experience for myself.
Mm-hmm.
Like not very unlike the core training that we do here. And yet intense, but not in a very different way.
Okay.
I guess, I don't know, just to start from the beginning, how did the samurai game come about?
Well, I understand the experience because you probably think to yourself, I've gone through experiential training before, so this is just another one.
Yeah,
that is very different.
Yeah.
So what would you like to know first? Where do you want us to start?
Well, I guess we gotta start at the beginning. So how did the samurai game start? How did it come about?
Okay. So the samurai game was invented by George Leonard. And what I'm about to tell you is related to me by one of his students, let's say, who is now running the Samurai Game Associates, which is in charge of the quality of the game worldwide.
Right. Okay.
So George Leonard was a pilot in the Pacific War,
right,
and fighting the Japanese, of all people. And he was also in the Korean conflict in some capacity. And what he noticed was, I'm condensing it, what he noticed was after the war, people seem to find, especially the men soldiers, the veterans, they found life boring, that the only highlight of their life, or the biggest highlight of their life, was during the war.
Wow.
And when they get together, they'll be talking about stories from the war. So hence the term war stories.
Okay.
So, and he saw that the war brought out the best in people. Mild-mannered Clark Kents, spectacle, would be heroes on the battlefield. And women who never worked a day in their lives and whose life was centered around the family, look good, do the nails, and look after the kids and fetch the men's slippers. In those days, they were running the factories for the war machinery.
Got it.
And so he is known as the godfather of the human potential movement.
I see.
So human potential in the sense that there is potential in people, but why does it take a war to bring out the best in them? So that was one part of it.
Okay.
And then the other part of it was he started doing Aikido.
Right.
So he was very much influenced by the art of Aikido. And Aikido means harmonizing the energy. And Aikido as a martial art is one where you don't how do you say, it's not confrontational in the sense.
Yeah, it's not heart to heart.
It's not head to head.
Yeah.
But it's more like using your enemy's energy
against them,
and going along with it, and thereby disarming him. So the art of Aikido is famous for the sensei disarming someone with a samurai sword. So in a combination of all these things, he became an Aikido teacher, a black belt, and he started in his 40s, I think, Aikido.
Wow.
So
there were two late start.
So how the samurai game started was one day he walks from his house to the Aikido dojo, which is about 10-15 minutes. And when he arrived, this is like a regular practice day. When he arrived, he suddenly thought, on the way he was thinking, and when he arrived, he suddenly told his students, okay, today we're going to do something different.
Okay.
So he divided them into two armies, so-called, and they had one-on-one contests. And no doubt, I think the contest would have been Aikido moves in those days.
Okay.
And that was the beginning of the samurai game. He forgot about that day's exercise until sometime later, one of the students says, Sensei, remember what you did with us that day? Can we do it again?
Oh,
and he began. He didn't realize the impact of what it would be.
Right.
And the game got popular, not just on the dojo, but in the schools and universities, and now it's worldwide. Right.
Amazing.
So it is a simulation of medieval samurai.
Okay. Yes.
In a battle with one-on-one contests.
Interesting.
So that's how it started.
Wow. Right now, like I used to do jujitsu, Japanese jujitsu as well, and I get the experience of sometimes my sensei will come in. He's like, "Okay, guys, let's try this today.
Right.
Let's try something different, something new." Like, so curious about. Do you happen to know what struck the student or what the student relate to George Leonard that impacted him because of the nature of that game that he created?
I think I don't have an answer except my own imagination to that one.
Okay.
I should make clear, first of all, that the samurai game does not require martial art experience.
Oh, yes.
So it is not an Aikido game.
Yeah.
It's a simulation. So the players in the game, like in some online games, are taken back in time to medieval samurai, where everyone is the people in the game are most of them, with one or two exceptions, are samurai. They are warriors with a warrior's code. In Japan, it's called Bushido. Which is literally warrior's code. And based on that, the game is around two armies. And of course, you have all the different ranks, simple ranks like the daimyo is the head of each army. And then there's a ninja, there's a sentry, and they are given roles, which George Leonard invented. And then there would be a battle between two armies. And most of the participants will so-called die in battle. So they experience some sort of death. And so you can, if you remember your game, you had, you had the experience of seeing a battle where people die, and at the end there's only a handful, or maybe two or three, and there's a final reckoning between the two armies. And one army will be defeated, and one army will be victorious, and sometimes the fate of the ending is unpredictable.
Definitely.
So it's a simulation. Because everyone imagines, and he write up on the website says that participants cross a psychological barrier, go back in time, and it's a game also in the sense that it's a contest between two armies. So it's a simulation game.
Interesting. So you've used the word simulation a couple of times now. Is that significant to the nature of the samurai game? Linked to, because I heard you say as well that the participants cross the psychological barrier, right? This is something about that simulation that does that.
Yes. So the idea is to take the participants into an unfamiliar scenario. Where everything that we take for granted in terms of our lives is kind of turned upside down. So it's unpredictable and uncertain. And the normal rules that we are used to and our expectations are really thwarted by this crossing over that barrier, so that you are in a totally different world, mentally and emotionally. And that unfamiliarity is important because we human beings settle down to something regular. I think the term for it is hemostasis. That means we maintain our thermostat and we are normal, average. And the other word for it is called mediocre after a while. So what the samurai game does is that it shakes up that assumption of normal. And because it shakes it up, you get to see things differently, or your thinking is interfered with.
Yeah.
But in a very indirect way, because if you remember your game, you just got absorbed in the game.
Yeah.
Totally absorbed. And then it wasn't like the game had like learn this lesson. It was just a game. You just played the whole thing. And it had no agenda in the sense of teaching you. I think maybe that's what you mean when you say you've done the trainings, some of the experiential trainings, but this is different.
Yeah. There wasn't a
lesson.
Yeah, there wasn't a clear lesson to take away.
Correct.
At the same time, the depth that I went to, the intensity that occurred in the room matched the transformation training in some sense.
Oh, okay.
But it wasn't, but it was intense in my heart.
Within yourself.
Within myself,
and it wasn't. So that's why it's very different, because you get absorbed in the game. So you play the way you will play the game. And then after the game, you're given, I think, overnight or something for reflection. And in that reflection, you saw yourself. That how you played the game gave you a lot of insight into how you live your life. In a way that I think you would not one would not expect, because you were so absorbed in the game. It's only a game. It's simulation, it's game, and you're very engaged. And then suddenly you look at it and you saw a lot of things.
It was, I hesitate to use the word magical for it, but it truly was. It was really, really fun as well. The stakes, the imaginary stakes were high. And everybody was really, really like absorbed in the competition, in wanting to win. And so I was not concerned with what I would take away, but it was only after the game finished. And I did my reflection, and we had a diet conversation. And the learnings, like what came up was I didn't realize how much I could take away from that game. In that sense, magical.
Well, you could say it's mind-blowing.
Mind-blowing,
sense,
that's a good way to put it.
And because it's not directive, because there's no agenda, you really found that it was something very real for yourself. Because nobody influenced your thoughts. You just saw what you saw, you realized what you realized. And, it's like,
for sure.
Kind of insight, and kind of finding, no wonder I do this. No wonder I have this way of handling things, or whatever it may be, conflict or confrontation, or
for
so
sure.
very full of learning and insights. And that's it. That's it in a nutshell. You play the game and then you see yourself. So in that sense, it's very powerful. And the strange thing is, people can repeatedly play the game, and each time maybe leave it a few months or a year or two, and each time they have a different experience of it.
Wonderful. Because it's so open, because it's not as directed.
Yes. We are self-learning creatures. And I think this game illustrates it to a very big extent. That you don't have to direct people, because if you're a trainer, if there's something to be learned, then of course direct. So that's a teaching element to that. Whereas in this one, it's self-learning adults, grown-ups, and you figure it out. In fact, it's not figuring it out. You see in stark detail what you never realized before.
Indeed. Very clear.
Some things you see in the game is clear as daylight, and people's lives are changed by that. A shift where they suddenly realize how they could do things differently, or what they have always wanted to do but never realized or never dared, and then they see that they can do it. So that's, I suppose, the essence of the game
Yeah.
yeah.
In a large nutshell.
Yeah, I think that's the essence of it. That there's a mantra in the game, or rather, mantra that we put out on the wall. It's called "Expect Nothing, Be Ready for Anything."
Yeah.
That's a warrior's thing, because if you are expecting something, then you will not be ready for what you don't expect. I vaguely remember that this was I can't remember whether it's, I think it was a movie or something. And they made a joke out of it in the Pink Panther.
Oh, okay.
Jacques Rousseau, the policeman, had a game with his karate assistant Kato.
Oh, yeah.
Where Kato would surprise him.
Yeah.
That was something that was done in a martial arts tradition, where in a maybe a Shaolin temple or some monastery, where you would go about your duties and you never know when you may be set upon. And therefore, that's to train you to be present, to be ready for anything,
right,
by expecting nothing.
Wow.
Because if you expect that quarter, that deck, you will be vulnerable on the other side. So the clear example will be Jacques Rousseau and Quito.
Thank you for the illustration. One of the other mantras, well, I don't know if it's a mantra, I could clarify the view right now. Is on the wall. It's something like one opportunity, one chance. Is that something like that? Yeah.
One moment, one opportunity.
One moment.
Like that, yeah. Those are kind of I don't know whether Zen sayings or what, that you only have the present, you only have one chance. Or you have one chance in every moment. And if you start anticipating and all that, then you miss.
Yeah.
So as a mental kind of learning, many people found a new feeling of living in the moment. Yeah. So that's a very common experience in the samurai game. Because of the intensity of the game, you realize that you can't be prepared for anything. Yeah. You have to be ready for anything. Can't possibly prepare for everything. Yeah. Prediction doesn't work, correct. Yeah. I just have to, the players who really in each moment play their heart out. That's that's how we gotta play the game. Yeah. And it's a situation where you can't control the outcome. Anything could happen. Yeah, anything could happen. Anything could, totally unexpected. Yeah. Yeah. So that's part of the experience. Amazing. That one I really related to that as well, because of my experience with jiu-jitsu. When we go to nationals, when we go to competition, I just have that one moment to execute that move, one moment to do it. If I don't, then I lose that chance, I lose that opportunity, and then in reflection of oh no, I couldn't. Yes, that's right. I could have. Yes. Why did I give my all my heart in that moment? And you resolve to do that. Yeah. And then in the next game, you do exactly the same thing. Yeah. So there's a feeling sometimes that we can never get it right. Yeah. But then there are moments where it's like magical. Yeah. It comes together. Yeah. But I think that's a common experience with martial arts. Yeah, especially in competition. It's not like how I practice, but all the same, all I have is just one opportunity, or however many minutes I have with my opponent in front here, and that's all I. So the key is practice. Yeah. Yes. Not preparation. There's a difference. What's the difference? What's the distinction? Preparation, you're anticipating. Okay. So practice is you become the best you could possibly be when you have that moment of opportunity. Right. Okay. And you cannot, without practice, it's unlikely you would take advantage of that opportunity the way it's presented to you, because you will not be ready. So the readiness is practice readiness. Yes. And not specific. Yeah. Not anticipation, but just because of how skillful you are, you would that's how it works out in martial arts.
Yeah.
How skillful they are.
That's true. That's
Yeah.
true.
And it's one in the practice mat and not actually in the 2 minutes of contest.
Yeah, indeed. How did you come across the samurai game?
The samurai game was part of a training program I attended, and it was in the context of that training. I had a great experience of it, and I never thought I would be a facilitator because I mean, when you play it the first time, it looks like, wow, how does the facilitator do it?
Right.
Because it's like what, 40, 50 people,
Yeah.
and then how can he have eyes for everyone, right?
Yeah.
And how does he know what to say and what to do next? And then sometimes the situation arises which is unexpected. How does he resolve it? So I had a great experience as similar to yours. The learning and insight was amazing, and that was 20 years ago.
Oh, wow.
20 years ago. And then later in life, I had the opportunity to think of being a facilitator. So when I applied, I thought, what qualification can I offer to do something like that? The requirement was that you had to have played the game at least once before. And then I think what the Samurai Game Associates look for is some form of background which puts you in the, how do you say, puts you in the area where you could meaningfully learn how to conduct the game.
Right. Okay.
So actually, that's what I did.
Okay.
And then I spent a week in Hong Kong and a week in Shenzhen for the certification program.
Wow.
And since then, and that was 6, 7, 8 years ago, 2015. That's 8 years ago.
Yeah, 8 years ago.
A
bit more than
8 years ago. Yeah. So I was certified in 2015, and then recently last year, the certification program here,
that's right.
Paul Grayson, who runs Samurai Game Associates, called me up and said, "We like to do. How about doing one?" So we managed to do one in September last year.
Yeah.
And there'll be another one in September this year.
Oh, right.
For people like you who experience the game and think, oh, maybe I could do that.
Wow.
So it is an intense training. It's about 10 days training, 1 day in between. So it's 11 days at a stretch.
Okay.
And to prepare you for certification. And you would think, how could you prepare someone in 11 days or 10 days to conduct this game? And it's possible because Grayson is very good. And so the certification program has evolved. In the old days, you had to be apprentice, you had to conduct a game under supervision of one of the mentors and so on. But now it's straightforward, direct training. But I think the key is also to make sure that people are prepared to do it. So we filter the candidates. So September we'll be doing one more here in Kuala Lumpur. Yeah.
Cool.
So I played the game. I got certified, conducted the game many times now. And then now I'm helping Grayson with training the facilitators. So it's quite exciting for me, actually.
Cool.
Yeah.
Excited for you.
Yeah. And of course, we stress practice. That a facilitator that has more practice conducting the game is usually will improve over time.
Okay.
Yeah. So for me, interesting experience you had of this unstructured, no agenda thing is what fascinates me. Yeah. And it is in fact that is one of the greatest unlearning for a trainer.
Wow. Because
the trainer goes in and says, okay, what can I do? What can I do?
Right. What's the plan?
So it's a bit humbling to know that the game is the game is the game. And a trainer, what can you add to it?
Right.
It's more powerful if you don't add to it.
Right.
So yeah.
So I guess
So that's the paradox. And that's the thing you couldn't put your finger on when you said, what kind of training is this?
It's so, I couldn't
You can't grasp it.
Yes, I couldn't grasp
And yet you learn so much and the impact was so great. So, so that's where we are.
Cool, fantastic. You mentioned the Samurai game is now worldwide. It's worldwide.
Yes.
What do you think it is about the Samurai game that has allowed to spread throughout the whole world?
Yeah. So one is your personal experience. And because and you would recommend your friends to play the game.
Yeah, definitely.
Right.
Definitely.
So that's one way. And then the Samurai game is actually very powerful in many different ways.
Okay.
So it's played by high school students, teenagers.
Oh, wow. Even to that. Yeah.
As in universities. And a big part of it is also for organizations like corporate. So for example, there was one game I did for a small group of 30 people. And when the client approached me, they said, our CEO is going to leave. And there's a new CEO in waiting. Yes. And we want to make sure that it transitions well with the team.
Okay.
So that so that the handover is smooth. And so we had the Samurai game with all the staff. It was a small outfit, about 30 people, and the two CEOs, the outgoing and incoming. And as a result of that game, and the game becomes a common experience.
Yeah.
That's one. The second thing is when the CEO plays the game together with everybody else.
Yeah.
It's like a wow.
Okay.
The CEO is okay. You guys do the training, go.
Right.
And then when they come back, so what do you learn? We spend quite a bit of money, and then what do you learn? Really? So a CEO that's not involved in a game could disparage the results of the game, so that if the CEO talks like that, then the staff is not going to mention it again, right?
That's true.
Whereas if the CEO is in there and the staff sees the CEO doing exactly what they are doing, it's a very, very you can imagine the impact it has on people. That my boss is actually in the same game. And one part of the game that we do is when we have CEOs and senior executives, we give them a special role so that they cannot take a leadership position in the game. Otherwise, the game will be just like the office.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
And so someone has to step up.
Okay.
So it could be a lower ranking staff, because the middle ranking staff don't want to take the leadership position.
Okay.
People are very conscious. CEO is watching. And then some lower ranking staff who have less to lose, so-called, may step up and then amaze everyone with their leadership prowess. And so from the CEO's point of view or the management point of view, they begin to see people in a different light. They notice where talent counts and where it doesn't count.
Right.
And then from the other way, the staff sees their bosses and their superiors also in a different light.
Yeah.
And so in an organization, what happens is everyone comes out of the game with a new respect for each other. And when they get back to work, it's very different. Yeah. So that's what happened with that particular game. Handover was smooth. The CEO earned the respect. The incoming CEO earned the respect of the others. And the outgoing CEO left a legacy to continue.
Fantastic.
So that is one example of how it helps organizations.
Right.
Another aspect where it helps organization is this game, is a wake-up call.
It's a wake-up call, yeah.
But one of the things most people learn in a game is I cannot take anything for granted.
Yeah.
It could be things could change. COVID.
Yeah.
It's a good example.
Yeah.
Like that it comes from left field. You cannot anticipate.
Yeah, that's right.
And one of the benefits of the game for an organization is also to wake up. Right? And to bring people together. So in a merger situation where you got people from two companies and now they're forming one unit.
Yeah.
Just let them play the game, and they will learn to work together. They'll see each other in a different light, not just I'm from this company, you're from that.
Right.
So I think that's why it's become very popular. That all over the world. Yeah. So we facilitators keep in touch with each other, and we hear stories. Russia,
Wow.
South America, Middle America,
Amazing.
all over the place, and Asia. Yeah. So this is something I think that we want to continue to have. So what happens is that the game is owned by the Leonard Family Trust. George Leonard's after he passed away, they formed a trust, and the Samurai Game Associates basically the students who took over from George Leonard, and we look after the game to preserve the quality, to maintain the quality of the game worldwide. And so Samurai Game can only be conducted by certified facilitators, certified by the Leonard Trust on behalf of the George Leonard Trust. Yeah. So I would love for this to be an institution because it is so universally appealing, because the Warriors culture, the Warriors code is understood everywhere, all over the world. That everywhere there is this culture of respect, admiration, and for the warrior.
It's true. What do you mean by, you said that you wanted it to become an institution? What do you mean?
Well, institution maybe is the wrong word. Would like this continue.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And to maintain the high standards that have been left behind by George Leonard. Yeah. So high standards because facilitators need to have the game without an agenda, because that maximizes possibilities for all the participants.
Oh, I see that. I see that.
Yeah, because it's like we do not have a lesson to teach.
Yeah.
So it's not teaching what's good, what's bad, what's right, what's wrong. It's like, this is life. It's a game. It is life. And therefore, maximum possibility is when we don't push an agenda.
So that in that sense, the trainer of the TSG is just a facilitator.
That's why it's called a facilitator and not a trainer. Because I facilitate, you learn. Yeah. We don't pretend to train in this particular context.
Got it. Also, something that made an impression on me in the game is the integrity. Something about it's very strong in the game.
Yes, because the opposite will communicate the same. So what are you going to do? Are you going to cheat?
Right.
Are you going to pretend nobody saw what you did?
Right.
Or will you own up? And because it's not always enforced,
yeah,
right?
That's true.
Then it lands on your lap. So and then it reflects on how do you do things out there?
Yeah.
In business, in relationships, and so on. When nobody is watching, nobody's checking on you, what do you do? So the impact is sometimes when the facilitator does not enforce it.
Yeah. So then
it's like, did they see? Who else saw it? What difference does it make? So in that sense, again, back to the open, it comes back to you, because nobody's going to force you or tell you or even tell you. Yeah. So that's where the possibilities are endless.
Right.
Yeah.
Interesting. Could you, well, going back about 20 years, I suppose, but what was that very first experience of you being the participant in that in the Samurai game like? Were you apprehensive going into it, or were you?
All the all the anticipation was there. That training had that was part of a bigger training.
Oh, I see.
So part of that training and the Samurai game was one part of it.
Right.
Less than a quarter. One of the lessons in the training was about being present, was about what if you are not actively in control of your life.
Right. Okay.
So issues like how much do you control your life? How do you live a life that live life where there's uncertainty and there's death, and so the samurai game in that context went quite deep.
I see.
So the game itself is like all other games. We just playing it, very, very engaged, wanting to win or wanting to do what we think is winning.
Right.
Yeah, and intense. I think the intensity is one of the aspects of the game that one can't recall the last time one was so intense. Right? It's like,
yeah.
If you look at
It's
it,
like
if you look at
the excitement.
Yes, if you look at it cynically, it's like a pretend game. So what's the big deal? But no, it's intense because it's real for us. The stakes are me, my life, what I do, the results I have to face.
Yeah.
So all that comes together in that 3 hours.
Yeah.
2.5, 3 hours.
Without any life-threatening, without any real consequence, just a simulation, just a game. But
there is no need to artificially inflate the emotions or the focus and all. It's like, okay, let's play the game. And then you get drawn into it, and then it's amazing.
Yeah. Man.
So you meet yourself in the game in a way that is, for many people, is an unprecedented experience.
Yeah. One of the things for me that came up is that the desire to keep going, the desire to give my all, while it's tough, while I'm not sure if I can go on.
Correct.
And for me, I had not brought that out of myself for a very long time.
Yes.
So, and for me, one of the gifts that this going through the simulation gave me was remembering what it's like to bring the warrior out of myself and say, no, I'm going to do this. I'm going to give my all here.
Yes.
And yeah, that was for me a really, really beautiful experience for me.
The desire to give it all, no matter what.
No matter what, yeah. What else draws you to the game still, even after so many years?
I think every game, every group that we have a game with, there's so much they can gain. Recently, one of our friends, Sam.
Yes.
So he's got a video with me.
I did see that.
So what shocked him, apart from the lessons he learned personally, everyone learns their personal lesson. What shocked him was that his 3 deputies, whom he's been trying to have take over a bigger role in the business.
Yes.
And it's not that he didn't try, and it's not that they are unwilling, but it never happened.
Right. Okay.
Until the game. And then the 3 of them started talking differently to him.
Wow.
So that was a shock and pleasure, because after the game, they told him, boss, you step back, I'll handle this.
Wow.
Yeah. If you listen to the thing, his expectations and the surprise that he got. And now because he is a group chairman of several business units.
Yes.
And if these 3 people take over, he can do other things, you see.
Yeah.
But he still felt so. I suppose the question in Sam's mind, I need to ask him, is how much of it was he unable to let go, or how that this had to? But this, whatever it was, whether it's their reluctance or his reluctance, it was resolved in that one game where they were all in the same game. That's why. I always say the CEO must be there. And then things can happen. But that's a risky move, you see, because if you're a CEO that wants to protect your status and all that, image and all that, then you may not do this. But someone who is saying, I'm open, then that's what happened with Sam. So he had his deputies take over that he had been trying for years.
Fantastic.
For several years. So finally, it's like, wow.
Yeah. Congrats to you, Sam, if you're watching.
Yeah.
What is one thing that you would want someone who hasn't played the game before to know about the game? Something that's valuable about the game.
I think what the game offers is things you is a new perspective, insights, learning that you couldn't possibly know.
That I couldn't.
That means you're learning what you didn't know.
Yeah.
Simply by the game putting you into a totally unfamiliar, unpredictable scenario.
Yeah.
That basically is the key, because if you really want to grow and make progress, either as an organization or individual, that's the way to do it. You've got to put yourself in a totally different environment. And the game does that safely.
Yeah, safely.
Whereas in the real world, if your business was put into a totally different environment like COVID, the cost can be quite high. Whereas in the game is safe, but the lessons learned there are invaluable. So I think the key is that if you do not turn things upside down, you would not have any shift that would be helpful to you. Because everything would be just more of the same. Improvement rather than transformation. You can improve all you want.
Right.
But if you really want to transform your business, you cannot just build on the past. You just have to test. You just have to put yourself in, turn it upside down. And the game does that very well. Yeah.
Indeed. We're coming close to the end of our time together for today. But if you could use just one word to describe your samurai game experience, either perhaps as a trainer now that you've facilitated several games, what would it be?
One word?
Yeah, if it were possible to reduce all of that.
I would say humbling.
Humbling.
Because humbling because whatever results are created in a game, I couldn't pin it on myself. I can't take the credit for it in that sense. The only credit I can take is I'm just doing the game the way I've been trained to do the game. You get what I mean? But all the results, as you know, like Shana's conducted your game and what you learn, he couldn't possibly teach you that, you see.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So I think that is standing in awe at the genius of this game by Josh Lennon.
Thanks, KH.
Most welcome. I'm glad we had this time to talk, and I've said a few things I never realized I said. But all true.
Yeah. Thank you very much for the conversation. And thank you guys for listening in. Thanks for tuning in to the Heart Talk podcast. See you again next Monday. Let your heart do the talking.
Bye.
Bye.